Hello. I just want to go over just this particular weave today. That is what it looks like when you draw it out. It's going to be on 4 base wires. This particular time I'm using 4 stainless steel 18 gauge round base wires. This is what it looks like. Let me see if I can zoom. There you go. Okay, let's go over it. So you're gonna go over, you always start at the back. Come around from the back, and you're gonna go over 1 and 2. So that means you're coming up, over, and you're going back above number 2. Then you're coming between 1 and 2 to go over 2 and 3. Then you're gonna come between 2 and 3 and go over 3 and 4. Then you're going down the back, you're gonna come up around and you're gonna cross all 4 of them. Then you're gonna go over 3 and 4, 2 and 3, and 1 and 2. So once again, that's the pattern. I'm also doing what I call spacers, and I'm doing 4 of them. That's just coming around your very first wire. This is going to be a weave that I put, sorry, my hands are acting up. I get twitches, you're gonna notice. This particular custom piece of resin that I made, it's gonna be for this. So I am at where I did one of the spacers. I need to do 3 more. So 1, 2, 3. As far as your base wire goes, you can usually either use a 20 gauge or an 18 gauge. I prefer 18 in all the different metals I use, even when I use a craft wire, because I get less of a wave going because of the tension where your pattern is. Sometimes can make a dip in the 20 gauge, and I noticed it was all getting wavy. And when I changed to 18 gauge, even in my stainless steel, it really helped me. But like I said, you can do what you like for your base wire. And as far as your weaving wire, I normally use a 26, but in the stainless steel, since it's so stiff, even in dead soft, I ended up going to a 28, and I can't really do the 26. I tried. I have problems with my hands, so it's probably a strength thing. So, okay, so at the beginning of this pattern, I do this. I split it with my nail, just so it makes that gap. We're coming from the back, up and over 1 and 2, going back above number 2. You want to pull it tight. Tension is something that just takes practice. That's all I can say about that. It's not something you can really explain. You just practice, 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 and you will get there. Because my first project looks like a 2-year-old did it. It's horrible. And it's only been 2.5 years. Okay, so that was 1 and 2. Now we're going to come up between 1 and 2. From the back, between 1 and 2. And we're going to go over 2 and 3. Okay, now we're coming from the back, and we're going to come between 2 and 3 here, so that we can go over 3 and 4, up over the top now, and down the back. Now it's the all 4, so we cross the front, all 4 wires, and come down the back. And now we're going to come between 2 and 3 here, from the back, so that we can go over 3 and 4. Now we're coming between 1 and 2 to go over 2 and 3. And now we're going to go over 1 and 2. Now, I'm going to use the pliers to push it over. I use my nails a lot, the fake nails. But as you can see, I really needed to push that. Why am I getting a different gap? I'm gonna ever so lightly flatten that too. Now I'm going to do those 4, what I call spacers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, these spacers are something, it's just so that your pattern gets spaced out so that you can actually see it better. And I vary how many space. I have to say 4 is typical for me for most of my projects, but I go by how big the project is, how often you want to see it. So obviously I don't want it spread out too much because this isn't huge and I want to be able to see enough of it. So 4 worked out pretty good. 3 might have put it a little too close to each other and you wouldn't have noticed the detail as much. So I hope that makes sense. So let's do it again. Let me make sure we're pushed over. Okay. Over 1 and 2. So I don't know if you can see that. You have to come all the way to the end of your wires, obviously, to get in there. So that's 1 and 2. Now we're going to do 2 and 3. Three and 4. All 4. Now we're doing 3 and 4. Now we're doing 2 and 3. My hand's acting up. And 1 and 2. Pushed over. Just depending on what type of wire you're using. I mean, I'm being very forceful with this right now, but it's stainless steel, it can take it. Just if you have a wire that's just coated or something, or say this was copper, you want to be careful. Don't be as aggressive as I'm doing right now. You can use your fake nails. Your real nails, you're going to end up damaging them if you push on it. I know people use guitar picks, especially like the ones that you can slip on. People use all kinds of different things to push it over. If you're worried about using the metal pliers, where are they? There. You can use the nylon ones, and that would definitely be a lot better. So I just realized I was being very aggressive on the wire. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Pushed it over. I also forgot to say, when I start my weaving, if the pattern doesn't start with it just going over the first wire, I start just by going around the first wire. And that's because it really holds. And this one starts with going over 1 and 2, and that tends to slide and not really hold. So I start and end coming around that first wire. It's just something I figured out along the way that really helps me. So we're going to do it one more time. Also, before I do it, let me explain. See how my wires are kind of crossing each other? I didn't do the best job straightening them. If you get confused when you come down to the end here to try to get in, to get your wire in there, what I used to do was I would put a piece of blue painter's tape on number 2, and I put a little piece of Scotch tape on number 4. And I would always do the same thing, so that I always knew 2 was the blue one, and 4 was the clear one, and usually number 3 is not going to be all the way down by number 1, so you could usually tell what the other 2 were. And hopefully that helps you too. I don't know, you saw how I do that, where I split it open like that. I am self-taught. I don't know what other people do. I have no clue. So we're going to go over it one more time. So from the back, like I said, you always start in the back. I tape it to the back at the beginning. Just because I'm no good at holding on to it, you could just hold on to it if you want. So over 1 and 2. I'm going to pull the wire again. Now we're going to do 2 and 3. Now we're doing 3 and 4. All 4. Now, you see where my index finger is? See how I'm holding? Every time I do a maneuver, I lift it up for a second and then I put it back. It turns out it was a good habit to get into, because some patterns it really matters for it to hold the tension for you. So that is a good thing to get used to doing if you're starting out. So like, see, right now it's holding it for me, and I can come over here, get between the wires, pull it, go over 3 and 4, come back around and hold it again. Now I still have to push this all over when I'm done, but as far as like it coming around the wire, that kind of tension, sometimes it does make a problem if you're not holding on to it like this. This particular case, it's not really giving me an issue. Now we're doing 2 and 3. And we're doing 1 and 2. Now, sometimes what I'll do is I'll do one of those spacers so that I can work on pushing it over, and it'll help hold it then. So I pushed it over. I'm also going to just ever so lightly flatten it. Even though it's stainless steel and I could push really hard, it doesn't need to be pushed hard to do that flattening. And that flattening is not something I can explain. I don't understand, other than you're coming across several wires. So the only time I do it is when I have a pattern that's going across a couple of wires. It seems like it needs to flatten it against your base wires. It ends up making it look nicer. So here is that slipped over already. So even with that single one there, it did that sliding over. I do have a space problem going on here though. Give me 1 second to look at what's going on. Something might have just caught. You can have where it just gets a kink and gets stuck. How do we look now? That looks better. So that's what it looks like, this particular one. And so all I really wanted to show was a simple video showing one pattern. I'm going to try to do that every time I do a weave. I'm going to try to do a video and upload it of just that pattern, and try to help people that are starting out. If you have any questions, I don't mind. If I know the answer, I will definitely answer you. So thank you so much for watching.